No, I just want to say before we get going, thank you to everybody for the support from my wife and I through the last couple of weeks, and it's been a tough couple of weeks, but support from the team, players, management, ownership, the fans, especially want to speak to them, and it's just been overwhelming, and we're very blessed to have the support we have, and from my wife and I, we really appreciate it, and the hockey world's great when times like this come. It's a pretty special world to be a part of. So just want to say thank you to everybody, and especially our fans, and everybody on the team and coaches, management, you guys in here, and we're very appreciative of that. So thank you.
Hockey questions. Somebody's got to have them. Always got a question.
Well, Boone, I mean, you guys finished this season in a similar spot to last season. I just wonder, do you feel like that are there different vibes going into this off season, just with some like the youth maybe taking some steps? Like, do you feel like that you've taken significant steps now compared to last season?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's different. With different guys in the room, but also just the situation we're in, right? With the general manager, and waiting to see what happens there. So as a group, as players, we focus on what we can focus on right now, and that's getting ready for next year, and taking some positives from this year that I thought we grew on, and but also looking ourselves in the mirror, and the spot that we're in is not the spot we want to be in moving forward. So taking it upon ourselves to be better in a lot of areas. To I think we stuck together as a group this year through some times, and we're gonna have to do that to take that next page, and or take that next step and turn the page. I think it's easy to say turn the page, but there's some work that has to be done to actually turn it and get us back to where we want to be.
And how much thought have you put into how much change could be coming into this offseason? You already mentioned the general manager search. Is it nerve-wracking at all, or just overall thoughts?
Yeah, it's a different spot, right? Personally, I've never been in this spot where we don't have a general manager, and with that, it's part of the business that there's a lot of uncertainties there, and like I said, we focus on what we can control, and that is getting ourselves ready for next year. Me personally, and the rest of the team, and we'll reflect the next couple days or weeks here of things either personally or as a group that we want to be better at, and especially for myself and the other leaders on the team, of what we want to bring into next year, and start turning that page and focusing on that, and bringing some positive, but learning from some stuff this year as well. So I think it's back to your question. It's uncertainties for sure, and we see what happens. Obviously, we know don't know when it's going to happen, but doing some. I know they're doing the interviews and stuff and all that. So,
Boone, as a captain, and as long as you've been here, longest tenured jacket, how involved do you want to be? How involved do you expect to be, in not just the general manager situation, but whatever needs to kind of happen in the transition process here in the offseason?
Well, I think obviously we had some meetings this morning, and we want the same thing. We want to be better as a group. We want to be back into the playoffs, and being a winning team, and throughout that, it's conversations of where do you think we can be better and whatnot, and I think that's what it comes down to, though, is we want the same thing, so we we got to work collectively as far as getting better as a group, and my job is take care of myself and in my game, but also be the leader in that room, and I think that's something I just want to continuing to get better at and trying to get this, bring this group, back to the playoffs.
Yeah, you've got a pretty strong voice, though, representing players, representing your team. Again, you think you'll use that voice as, kind of bringing it to management, whatever, in terms of whatever choices they make here moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I have my inputs or, answer questions they have and state your opinions. And, I think any guy that's been around for a while, has just seen more of the league and, how things run in this league. And, like I said, I'll, state my opinions and all that. But, other than that, we, focus on the group and ourselves and getting ourselves prepared. And, like I said, working that process, turn the page and bring some stuff with us that, can get us going for next year.
Boone, going back to the GM hire, do you feel uneasy heading into the offseason without a GM, or do you see that more as like a positive with this change?
You can look at it both ways. I think, when it's right now, you're probably thinking more uncertainties and unease, but at the same time, when it happens, it's going to be some excitement. And, I guess the uncertainties now of what's going to happen or who it's going to be and what it's going to look like from there. But it's also exciting for, our group, and it's going to be, new eyes, new thoughts, new everything on our group, and see where that takes us. So it's exciting that way as well.
And the fans continue to show out despite the record. Does that add any extra motivation for you guys to be able to produce results for them?
It does. Obviously they've showed up this year again through a tough year. That like I said, not where we want to be as a group or playing to our standard or level we want to be at in this league, but they continue to show up, and you've seen it time and time again, and they continue to show the hockey world why this is such a great market. So huge shout out to them. It doesn't go unnoticed by us players and players around the league, honestly. So it's a pretty special place to play, and they make it that. So I'm happy that they, stick with us through these good times, but it's very, you really want to reward them with, some better games and getting back into the playoffs and more wins and more stuff to cheer for, because they definitely deserve it.
What'd you think of the job that Pascal Vincent did this year? What did he bring?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, start of the year was a different situation. That happened a few days before training camp, and Pazzi and the staff took over right before we got going, and they were prepared, I thought, under the circumstance that it was, and obviously he's been a coach for a long, long time, so he knows the game. He knows how to coach, and I thought we took some strides this year as a group with them, and just as a group collectively to become a little bit better. We didn't get the results that we wanted, but there's definitely some positives that we took, and he brought in a lot of different systems that we had to adjust to quick, and as I think as a staff they got together quick and got on the same page for us, and we all got on the same page, which was tough to do with that short amount of time, but some definitely some great things.
Boone, you've been around here long enough, obviously, to have gone through the John Tortorella years where, a lot of consistency, I guess is what you would say with that. And that's why you guys made the playoffs quite a bit. Whether it's Pascal, a new coach, there's going to be a new GM. No matter how it shakes out going forward, can you give us an indication of how important consistency is to establish here, just going forward and just always knowing, just knowing systems and all that kind of stuff going forward?
Yeah, big time. And I said this, I was thinking this, where it's tough to, gain that traction when, the last couple of years we haven't won, 3-4 games in a row where you can feel that and feel that as a group of, this is how we're going to win. This is what it feels like. Something to fall back on that way, where it's kind of been up and down, right, with win and a loss, and or whatever it may be. Where that's where the good teams, they go on a couple runs like that a year where you're winning 5-6 games in a row, and that's sucks for us, because you want that your team to feel that and see what it's like and see what it takes that way. And that's all part of it. It's being consistent. You see the best teams do it. No matter what happens the night before or whatnot, they know exactly how they're going to play the next night. So that's definitely a recipe for a winning team, and somewhere we want to get to.
When you look at Cole Sillinger, do you see similarities in your own game at all?
Yeah, for sure. He's a great kid off the ice. You forget how young he is, but obviously took some huge strides this year. And he approaches the game the right way. He works hard off the ice, on the ice. His preparation. He's definitely he seems a lot older than what he is, and that's just a credit to him and where he can get to. So took some huge strides for us this year. You could just see it with his play and his confidence, and very good for us to see that out of him, and good for him too, because like I said, he deserves it. He approaches the game the right way. He's a great teammate, and I'm sure he'll just keep getting better as he goes here.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot changing. We've talked about it coming into today, and it's going to be kind of the talk this off season. How exciting, though, is the prospect to kind of get some stability and see where all this talent can go with some consistency?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot about our team kind of the second half of the year. I thought we did a lot of good things in the second half of the year. Obviously, we're still out of playoffs, and it was, it sucked. But, I thought learned a lot about our team, and hopefully we can all have, a good off season and come prepared for next year, because I know no one wants to go through that again like the year we had.
Johnny, is there any uneasiness heading into the offseason without a GM, or do you kind of see that as on a positive spin, welcoming a change?
Yeah, I don't really look into it too much. Whoever they bring in, obviously have a conversation with them and, chat with them a little bit and go from there. But, excited to see who we hire, and obviously excited to work with them.
Obviously, these first 2 years since you signed are not what you signed up for, what you want, how you wanted it to go. What did those 2 years, I guess, do for your motivation personally?
Yeah.
Going forward, you got 5 years left on that contract.
Yeah. Like you said, hockey-wise, it's been tough. Outside of hockey, we love it. Love the city. Love being here. It's a special place. But the hockey part, it's been tough. So hopefully, we can kind of turn this thing around. Like I said, the second half of the season, I thought we did some really good things as a team. And like you said, I have 5 more years here, so hopefully I'd like to build something here and try to make it back to the playoffs and do some special things here, because like I said, I really enjoyed my time here away from the rink, so it'd make it a lot more enjoyable. Starting to win games and playing into May and June.
As a veteran, you've played for a number of coaches at this level. I know there was turmoil to start this season, right before the camp and all that. Pazzi takes over. Just curious what you thought about the job that the Pazzi and the coaching staff did this year.
Yeah, they kind of got thrown right into the mix there. What was it, 2 days before training camp? Had to come up with a bunch of stuff for our team, and we felt like we were kind of behind on the 8 ball there. Just starting to. We all came in super early, pretty much the whole organization, so we could skate as a team away from the coaches. We thought we were, ready to go, and then kind of everything changes. You new coach, new systems and everything, and it was just 2 days before camp, so it kind of started behind a little bit there. But like I said, we had rough first half of the year with all the third period losses and stuff like that. But the second half, I thought we did a really good job. We were out of playoffs, but I thought we took a good approach to it and learned a lot about our team, and hopefully we can use that to start the next season and come in ready to go.
Johnny, this season the team finished in a similar position as last year, but does this season going into the offseason feel any different vibes-wise than last season to you?
Not really. I mean, whether we're 2 points out of a playoff spot or whatever we're not in the playoffs. So everyone needs to be better, starting with myself. And, these older guys need to make sure we're holding everyone accountable as a team and making sure we're having a good off season and working hard in the off season and doing all the right things and coming next season, prepared and, ready to, try to do something special here and, give, these fans in our city something fun to watch because they haven't been watching a lot of fun hockey here in the past. So, and they've been great for us. They've supported us all year long and they're nonstop sellout crowds. So they deserve better, and we're going to try to do that for them.
And many guys in the locker room have mentioned all year that the room has really seemed to improve. The team has really come together. From your point of view, is that something that you're seeing, the team seems closer than ever to you?
I mean, I've only been here for 2 years, so obviously I think we still need to, do a lot more to get to where we want to be. Have we taken some steps in the right direction? I think so. But, no one in that locker room wants to be where we're at today, not in the playoffs. So, we still have a lot of things to work on and get better at. But, we keep doing all the little things right and prepare this summer and come in prepared for next season. Those little steps we did take this year will only help us for next season.
You admitted that your season didn't get off to the start that you wanted. How can you change that for next season?
Yeah, obviously, probably bear down on my scoring chances a little bit more. I think I missed a bunch of breakaways, probably should have scored. Had a few goals called off. Hit a couple posts and crossbars, and so, just bear down on my chances. Be smart in the defensive zone so we can get odd man rushes and try to make plays and set people up and go from there. But have a good off season as well. Try to skate a lot and a lot more than I did last summer. I think last summer skated a little bit less with the new baby. I was just hanging around her as much as I could, and so I'm definitely gonna try to skate a lot more this summer, be in the gym a little bit more, and come ready to go next year.
You basically, by the end of the year, it seemed like you had a line mate of the week for you. How difficult is it to develop chemistry when they have so many different players you're playing with?
Yeah, it's difficult. You wanna have one or two guys you're with for most of the season, and that's the hard part about injuries and guys missing games and whatnot, and you're losing games. Sometimes it's not working, but when you find that chemistry with a player or two players, and you just keep building off a game in and game out practice, and each day of practice, it definitely helps in games. And I've had the opportunity in the past to play with a few guys where I was with them for pretty much most of the season, and you kind of know where they're at on the ice, like the back of your mind. So, and you just repeat that game in and game out, and when you're playing with different guys every single night, it's tough to build that chemistry and to know where they're at and to play on the same page and whatnot.
You mentioned kind of the second half of the season is kind of a turning point, as something kind of to build off of. What specifically comes to your mind when you say, okay, the second half we played worthy of, like Columbus Blue Jackets hockey? Like what kind of comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think, our speed, being smart with the puck on the blue lines a little bit more. Playing with leads, the third periods, I think, we played a lot better in third periods and trying to kick that in the butt, get that out of our system. And but yeah, and in the locker room, in the weight room, a lot of just little things where as a team, it's only going to help us for next season. And, obviously, like I said, we still have ways to go, but those little steps we took this year, we need to remember them for next year and build off them, and hopefully that'll get us off to a better start.
And obviously, a lot of young names, a lot of young talent that's coming in, especially late here. I mean, what kind of, do you see that potential, especially from kind of these new faces, like from, making their NHL debuts, these faces that are kind of getting their first taste of what NHL hockey is? Do you see that potential for, I guess, a change is going to come through, like, the youth movement here? Or? Yeah,
What are we, the youngest team in the NHL? So we have a lot of youth, a lot of young guys. It's a lot of potential, like you said. But at the end of the day, with the amount of young guys we have, we need to put the best 12 guys that are going to help us win games. And, it's great they can push each other, to try to crack the lineup and make our team. And with that many young guys and all the potential there, they're going to be challenging each other and making our team better and making each other better, and that's a good upside.
Johnny, you talked a lot about changes and improvements that you guys did make. A year ago, we all sat in here, and there was the word accountability was used a lot. Do you think from an accountability standpoint there were improvements in this team, and where did you see them?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's still room for improvement. Definitely need to get better in a lot of situations on the ice and stuff. But I think our captain and our leaders did a great job, holding our team and our young guys accountable and day in and day out. And obviously, it didn't show for the season in wins and losses. But like I said, those little steps that in our locker room that we're trying to make, those 4 guys, they're doing a great job at keeping myself and everyone else in line and trying to make sure we can grow as a team. And so that second half of the season, I think they did a great job with that.
And you mentioned coming back a little bit earlier last summer. Do you think that'll be the same plan for you this year? Go home for a bit and train there, and then get back here as a team in whenever, August or whenever you might do it? Yeah,
it will be for sure. Obviously, go to Worlds in a couple weeks here and do that, and go home, get a little bit of rest, and then get back at it and come back ready to go, because we don't want to have another one of these seasons like we've had the past 2 years. And I think some of the older guys that have been here for longer have had it for more than I have in the past 3-4 years. So we want to be playing in March and April when those games are important. And like last night, there's 4 teams, with 1 point away, all still fighting game 82, and that's where we want to be. And we rather be in the playoff spot, but not where they were at. But that's the meaningful games, you want to be a part of, and that's where we're going to try to push to be at.
Johnny, you've had a couple of very key members of this team. Patrick Laine, Boone Jenner, go through some really tough personal situations in their lives. How important is it for you guys to just kind of band together and support those guys, no matter what happens going forward?
Just goes to show you, we just play a game. We're very fortunate to play this game and to play in a great city like we do, but what happened with Patty was, awful. We love him. We miss him. We hope he's getting the help he needs. And, I think we all reach out, anything you need, we're here for them. And with Boone, he's our leader, guy works the hardest day in and day out. And for him to have to go through that, it's awful. But, we love him and Maggie. We missed them at the end of the year, having them. And, we're like you said, it's a terrible thing to have to go through, but I think he knows he has his teammates to lean on, and Maggie has the wives on our team, the girlfriends on our team to lean on, and they're not alone in a city. They have us, so we got to just be there for them.
Sean, you came here and you came into the NHL from the Boston Bruins. When you were there, they're one of the most consistent teams, obviously, out there. They lose Bergeron and Krejci, and they just keep rolling. Mm-hmm. So you go from having a lot of consistency and just a program in place to one that it's been, there's some turbulence here since you've been here. How important is it, coming from there to here, to establish that here and have a measure of consistency here?
You know what I've realized, I think about the same thing, is it's like a machine, and it's hard to start and it's hard to stop. No matter who's coming in and who's going out, and it takes a hell of a lot of work to get it going and build it, and it takes a lot of it takes less to keep it going than it does to start it. And that's what they've got there, and that's as an organization where you're looking to go. And how do you start that? It's one piece at a time and little progress. So that's what we've got to do. We've got a ton of work in front of us. There's no secret there, and the results, the consistent results, come from consistent actions, and it's pretty. It can look amazing and a miracle from the outside, but if you're in those walls on a daily basis, it's just one foot in front of the other. But each day you got to take a step. So I think it's something that we're gonna have to work to build. We've got a long way to go. There's no secret there, and that's where we want to go. Is be that you want to be a consistent playoff team, and we can say that all day we want. That's hot air. So we've got a lot of work to do.
You guys started this season with some turmoil. Obviously, we're not going to rehash that whole thing, but Pazzi jumps in there right away. The coaching staff has to scramble. I'm wondering what your thoughts of this season are from playing for him as a head coach, and just kind of what the experience was like this season.
Yeah, I mean, we come into this season with some expectations to be fighting for a playoff spot, and as a worker, you're working to meet or exceed expectations. So every day where we fell behind expectations, you're disappointed. So we sit here disappointed that we didn't. Those were the expectations set. Did they change after the incident? Not for us, in our eyes. They weren't expected to change. So I think, Hedge, it's listen. I think we all got to look ourselves in the mirror, and we all have to be better. And if we're if the results, they say something, and as a player, I go back and after the season and I look at these team results, which I'm a leader of this team, and you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, I'm part of the reason for the results. You're not solely to blame, good and bad. If I want to sit here and we win games, I'll be, you're a piece of it. You feel good about it. Lose a lot of games, you're a piece of it. You don't feel great about it. So you look in the mirror, and I think we're going to have, if you're not doing some soul searching this summer and this off season, looking where you can get better to help this team, I don't think it's probably the place for you. So that's where we're trying to get to a point too. And you can try and change the world, but you got to change yourself.
Hey, Sean. One of the things I think a lot of people on the outside are going to look at is the injury situation. The last 2 seasons, over 800 man games lost. It's just a lot, and I know some of it is certainly freak stuff, but what do you feel like maybe from your point of view, the team's point of view, that you guys can do to try to limit that in any way possible?
Another thing I'd put in the category of everyone, that's another piece of this that we all need to improve, and that's another area we need to improve in. And where does that improvement take place? I think, it's each person in looking themselves and as a player, am I injured? What can I do to not be injured? And what steps can I take in the summer to not be injured? And obviously, I think it's a group. We all got to be better. And there's those results, like I said, they all tell us something. And you listen, and if you don't listen to them, you probably expect the same stuff. So just as players, I think you see those and you say, okay, what can I do to be more healthy, put myself in the best situation to be more healthy? And that doesn't come after you get injured. That comes probably starting here soon. So we, as you can ask about different places, but you kind of look back at yourself and say, okay, what piece can I have in helping that get better? And if all I can control is my piece of that, then you do it. If you can help a little bit, you do it. But it's got to get better. There's no secret. That has to be a piece that we get better. And as players, you just do what you can do as a player. And as a player, what can you do all summer to prepare to not put yourself in a bad situation.
Sean, you played on veteran teams in Boston. This franchise is a badge of honor of being one of the youngest teams in the league every season. How can you make that coexist where you can make the playoffs with a young team?
Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge. I guess you guys probably know the numbers better than I do of what the ages of these teams that get into the playoffs look like. And I think, I just keep bringing it to as a player, it's you get a locker room full of men at the beginning of the season, and you kind of set expectations for yourself, and you try and meet or exceed them. And whether they're 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, not necessarily up to us. I think it's, we have this group, we have these expectations, let's meet them or exceed them. And how old the guys are on the team, I think is someone else's department. But what is up to us is if we have a young team, is making the most of the young team.
I guess keeping in that theme with young guys, you only saw this guy for 11 games, Malatesta, but he seemed to make a pretty big impression around here pretty quick. What are your thoughts? You got to play with him. Just kind of going forward, is he a guy that excites you about the potential for him here?
Yeah, I think we call him Jimmy. Jimmy was a bright spot. He was a bright spot for us, but I think had you want to get to the point where that's kind of the expectation and the standard is a guy like that to come in and bring that energy and bring the work ethic. And kudos to him. He did it, and I think he met his expectations and the standard. And I think a guy like that can help lift the group, and that's kind of what we need to push for and strive for and set that expectation for ourselves. Good for him, though. He played well.
When it comes to the youth movement and a lot of young guys, potential is always a word that's used. But when it comes to, I guess, switching that, that youth movement, that potential to what you were saying, the standard, the expectation of what it looks like to perform at an NHL level. What is your role in kind of creating, cultivating that kind of culture and making sure that, this team might be young, but there is another step, and it's not only potential, but it's a standard. And there's an expectation of success moving forward, not just potential.
Number one is just being an example. So your responsibility is to come in and set an example of what you want that to look like, and then after you set your example, and you can hold people to that standard. And it's a fairly black and white thing. We're talking a hockey team, so there's certain instances on the ice that are a standard. There's certain instances when you travel in the gym, in the training room. There's a million little things that happen every single day, and I think first of all, show that you're doing it, and then second of all, bring some others along. And I hope that's not too vague. But that's kind of where you go with that is you're not going to go in and do anything crazy, and it's just really a simple one foot in front of the other and day by day thing.
Sean, no doubt you're a champion for your hometown. Last year we saw the Summer League, and how many of you guys played in that? How important is it to you to have a good core of players be here in the summertime, training in the summertime, skating together in the summertime? How important is that to you, and how important is it to the ultimate success of the team?
Yeah, Dave, I think you bring me to the story of the season, I think, is our fans. Really this season, our fans have just shown through, and obviously not the product we wanted to show them at all times, but wow, were we impressed with how they showed up on a nightly basis. And it's really impressive, and obviously hits a little closer to home with me, obviously, and so that means a lot, and it puts a little extra emphasis on trying to produce some results for them. But like you said, there's a lot of these good teams have a lot of guys sticking around in the summer and building cohesion, and whether it's on the ice or off the ice, and the Summer League is a step for us, an organized way to maybe start something like that. And we're hoping to continue it. I know it's a really bright spot for a lot of fans to get closer to us and see us on a closer level, and really important. I think it's really important. It's something that I really enjoy doing, and was the benefactor of similar things back in the day when it was on a different scale, but just little things. I benefited from them. So if we can continue to make it a little bigger and a little better, it's just something that we know is going to eventually help this organization.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything. Thank you.
This is such an odd season. It's another one where, the last 5 weeks or something, you guys are just decimated with injuries. Trade deadline happens, a couple guys get removed there. Before that, though, and Pazzi's mentioned this a couple times, did it feel, were there times where it felt like we're this close from kind of going on what we want to do eventually is, string some wins together, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there was times for sure. I wish there was a few more of them. Obviously, the injury bug caught up to us. I think it was, 2-3 months ago, we had some big wins against some tougher teams and played the right way, had some really good goaltending and ended up in some good situations. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're looking for in that room is to find that consistency and be there on a nightly basis. And all you need to do every single night is give yourself a chance every night. And it's that chess match of figuring it out and how to do so against any particular team.
Erik, at the start of the season, you had a couple new defensemen come in, Severson and Provorov. Do you feel like that there was quite an adjustment period at the start of the season with a couple new guys into the mix like that?
Yeah, anytime you move around, there's a settling in process that needs to happen to get comfortable, figure out what your role is, figure out where you slot in the lineup, in the dressing room, personality-wise and whatnot. So there's definitely a little bit of that.
Consecutive seasons allowing 300 goals. Do you feel like that, like the system, like you guys there was some improvement there? What do you feel like needs to happen to really start to get that number going in the right direction?
A number of things. Number one, I think everybody needs to understand that allowing 300 goals against really sucks. It's not the recipe for success. That's something that we all need to, you look at yourself in the mirror and you decide whether we're going to take care of this or we're not. And it's a full commitment. It's 100% commitment to taking care of that. And, we have the ability to score. And if you score 4 goals in a game, you should win that game in the NHL. You really should. So we shouldn't be losing. With the offense that we can create, there's no way we should lose tight games, 5-4, 6-4, 6-5, stuff like that. Like, that number does need to come down.
From your time around the league over the years, not that you're really old, but what's the difference between teams that make the playoffs and teams that don't make the playoffs? What's the biggest attribute?
It's a loaded question. It's a great question. Certain teams are different. I've played on playoff teams where we were very high scoring. I think that number, that defensive number, really needs to come down. That gives you a chance every night. If you're allowing, 2 goals a night, that's making it very difficult in this building to win a game, or in any building for that matter. So you bring that number down first and foremost. You're looking at playing hard defensively, blocking shots, doing that kind of stuff. Like, that really brings a group together, and getting that number down. I mean, if you can't score more than 2, that means you got to stop us from scoring anything more than that, which is going to be difficult because we can't score. So that would be the first one.
What would you say about the culture of the locker room?
Yeah, I think we took a step forward this year. There's some massive steps that need to be taken in that department as well. I think I counted this morning, I think it was like 42 different guys or something like that suited up for us this year, which is a large number, and having that consistency without injuries and timing of those injuries is going to be huge, obviously. It's something that we're going to take a look at this summer and come back ready to go next year.
A year as a captain for you on this team, what has that been like for you, and have you felt your leadership role in this team has grown throughout the season with a lot of new guys coming in too?
I'm still just as proud to wear that as I was day one, and I'll do that, and I'll wear it proudly every day. I just try and be me. I've been. It's crazy to think that I'm, in terms of games played, the most experienced guy on the team, because I haven't really been around for that long. But yeah, I'm very proud to wear it. I take it very seriously, and you know, at the end of the day, my job, when you're wearing something like that, you have to come in and be right every single day. You know, some days you have, you know, some practice days you have 80% to give. You blocked a shot the night before, something like that. But no matter what, you have to give 100% of that 80% that's available to you, and be sharp. And when you don't feel good, still got to figure it out. That's my job. So, you know, I take a lot of pride in that.
One of the bigger challenges for you guys as NHL players is, I think, finding roles, right? Like you're all stars when you're in juniors or whatever, and you got to know who you are and all that. This year you set career high numbers. I know you hate talking about them and you hate talking about yourself and all that, but you set career high offensive numbers this year. Were there times where you'd make a play or score a goal or whatever, you thought like, I knew I have that in. I do have that in the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You know, the past few years have put a lot of thought and effort into. You know, sometimes the best defensive play you can make is making the correct offensive play. You know, just playing 200 feet away from our net. I say that all the time. You have to have the ability to do that in the O zone as well as the D zone. So my play with the puck decisions, just, you know, making sure I make the right play is, you know, helped me out this year.
Was that an intentional pass last night?
It was an intentional pass to John, and I missed him. I saw Neil's back door, but I saw John in front of the net, and I was going at him. I didn't have much time, and the puck was rolling, so I had to settle it quick. But I was looking to get it to John, and he could probably find Neil's back door, but it worked out the other way.
It's quite a goal too that he scored.
Yeah, tough angle. Yep.
Last one I have for you is kind of going back to, I guess, the consistency thing is just what you guys went through at the beginning of this season, right before training camp. I don't know if it's unprecedented, but it's definitely rare that you see your coach out before it happens. Pazzi comes in, tough situation. I'm wondering what you thought of the job that Pascal Vincent did this year and his staff. Given that, and just this was his first year as an NHL head coach. Yeah,
it was his first year as an NHL head coach. That's an extraordinarily hard job. It really is. I've had more coaches than I've had years played in the NHL, and it's very difficult. And I thought he did a really good job of being open-minded to his leadership group. You know, obviously everybody makes mistakes throughout the year. He was cognizant of those mistakes and willing to make those changes, which is a very, very good sign. I thought he came up with a good game plan for us on a nightly basis. I like his systems. You know, we had our disagreements here and there, but everything was taken professionally, not personally, which is big in our business. And I really enjoyed having him as a coach.
David Jiricek, he literally had an up and down season, going and coming back and all. What did you see from him, and also how can you and the other veteran defensemen help him out in his career?
Yeah, you don't want to overload a young kid with too much information. You know, I think being a defenseman in this league is difficult. Guys are really good, and you can get beat a million ways plus one. Guys are super creative, they're quick, and he's learning. And you know, at times, were we playing well enough to support his young abilities? Maybe not. But, you know, for him, just continuing to work on his game, staying positive with it, being, you know, I think on an individual basis, being not hard on yourself, but being very honest with yourself in a positive way. Again, being professional with yourself, not personal with yourself, is a big one. Because he's got a ton of talent, he's got a ton of ability, and we're going to need him to be a good player for us very soon.
Here, you talked earlier about the culture. topic of accountability, do you feel like that's going in a good place within the team? I know certain guys might take it a little bit differently, but do you like where that's going?
Yeah. And if you don't have accountability, if you sweep stuff under the rug, you're going to be in trouble. I think, small problems that need to be dealt with right in front of you, I think it's always best to take care of them as they're small problems before you sweep them under the rug and they become big problems. That's when you're in trouble. So, when we talk about getting better, that's a portion of it that I think needs to get better. And we can do that. We took steps towards that this year.
Hey, Zach, they just dropped the news on the King Clancy, so congratulations for being the nominee on that, if you knew that.
I just found that out from you, so.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on that. But this year, though, the big thing for you coming in this season was coming off the injury. It seemed like with pretty close to a career year for you. Just talk about the way your season went, how you feel like that you got better, and then what else this team really needs to do to be able to take the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good. I think for me personally, obviously coming into the season, I didn't really have any expectations after missing a year. Usually I try and set broad goals of points and all that stuff, but this year I was pretty much an empty page. I really didn't know what to expect, and I think from the start of the season to finish, I'm really happy with how it went. I felt like towards the end I was back to myself again. Like you said, a career year in points and assists, and I didn't score for a while and still finished with a decent amount of goals. So I think that in that area, I'm happy with it. Definitely think there's work to improve on and areas to improve on. But I think for me personally, it was a good year to be back and just play that full season again. And second part of your question in terms of our team, I think it kind of falls on us, the players, right? It's all we can control is our off season and what we're going to do and how we're going to prepare for next year. And that starts now. I think guys are going to take some time off. Some guys are going to go to world championships and whatnot. But I think for us, the only thing we can control is what we do this summer and how we prepare for next season. And if we're going to take the next step, we all have to be on the same page this summer, and that's putting our work in and being ready for next year.
Are you going to the Worlds?
I am. Yeah, I'll be at Worlds.
So the 300 goals, it's 2 consecutive years. I'm looking back at the beginning of the season. You had a couple new defensemen come in, Severson, Provorov. You're coming in off of an injury. How much of an adjustment was that at the beginning, and then how much improvement did you see once everybody started to get settled in a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you have new guys, new coaches, new systems, there's definitely a period of adjustment. It takes some time to get used to it. By no means do I think that is acceptable still, though, with how we, played defensively this season. I think it was, like you said, 2 consecutive years of over 300 goals against, which is unacceptable, and a big reason where we were at in the standings the last 2 seasons. So I think in terms of that, it's just on us as players, groups of 5 all over the ice. Defenseman probably starts with us, but playing in the D zone as a 5-man unit, and I think it's just taking more responsibility and accountability and being better in that area. It really takes no skill to put your nose down and be hard in the D zone, and it's just wanting to do it. So I think for us, it's just having that mindset and going into next season that we're going to be better in the D zone.
You guys deal with, as we found out the last 2-3 years, adversity all the time. You're always, just kind of juggling things here and there. But I mean, like, if you get if the decision comes down, there's a new GM. If they get a new coach, I'm just hypothesizing here, that'd be like the 4th new coach you guys have in like a year's time. How tough is that to go from coach to coach to coach, system to system to system, and adjust and make it work in a winning fashion?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think change is always tough at first, right? There's it takes time to adjust to certain systems like we just talked about, but I don't know what they're going to do in terms of a new coach. I'm not going to worry about new systems or anything like that. That's on them, and they'll figure that out with the GM and whatever the GM decides. But like I said, the only thing we can control as players is putting our work in the summer, and next season, no matter who the coach is, what the system is, it's doing our job in the D zone and making sure we don't give up 300 goals against again.
Do you feel like, I mean, if we take the coaching and GM stuff and set it aside. The work that you guys put in this year, do you feel like you guys laid groundwork for, like, if Pazzi does come back next year, if he's the guy, this coaching staff is the coaching staff, do you feel like you guys hit the ground running, starting next year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we're all familiar with the systems now. I will say, it wasn't a great year, but the one thing we did do is compete this year. I think everyone worked hard. Wasn't perfect by any means. Obviously, our record shows that, but I think guys wanted to get better. Our team wanted to get better. Guys worked in the games. We really didn't ever have games where we didn't work, and I think that's a step in the right direction. Even to the last buzzer last night, guys were working hard. So if we can do that and we can work a little bit smarter, whether it's Pazzi or a different coach, I'm not sure. But if we can just do that collectively as a group and have that foundation, I think we're going to hit the ground running next season.
Zach, do you like the systems?
Yeah, I mean, like any system, it's not perfect, right? There's going to be flaws in it. I think it's whether your system is the one we have now or a different one, it's honestly on the players to buy into it. It's on us as groups of 5, like I've talked about, to buy into the system. You might not agree with it. I don't agree with everything, but it's our system, and it's on us to buy into it, and as leaders to show the young guys that this is how we do things here and how we're going to do it. And shouldn't matter what your system is. I think at the end of the day, if you buy into it collectively as a group, you're going to have success.
Do you think consistency and continuity will lead to better execution?
In terms of consistency,
there's been 7,000 injuries the last 2 years. Yeah. There's been 4 coaches in a single year, so forth, and we can go on and on with that. But is the stuff here to the point where if there is some measure of consistency and continuity, that this team can succeed?
Yeah, I understand your question now. Sorry about that. I think so. I think, like we said already, like if you're changing things all the time, it's tough, right? You have to adjust, and it takes time. But I think if you have some level of consistency, players, coaches, whatever it is, I definitely think it makes things easier because you're already familiar with each other. You're familiar with how each other plays. You're familiar with the systems, the schedule, all that stuff, right? If you can eliminate the thought of, what time do we come to the rink and where's breakfast, like stuff like that, right? If you can just think about playing hockey and focusing on what we have to do as players, it definitely makes things easier for success, right? You're not thinking of anything else except coming here and putting your skates on. So I definitely think that's a big part of it, but like I said, I'm not sure what they're going to do.
Time for a few more. Zach, you signed your contract back in July of 2021. One of the things you said at the time was, the team was in a rebuild or a retool. You saw a bright future. Almost 3 years later, where do you see the franchise now, and where do you see it going 3 years from now?
Yeah, not really too sure about 3 years from now. Obviously, a lot changes in this league. Contracts, players moving on, trades, whatever. But in terms of where we're at right now, I said this last night to a few guys. Like I really don't think we're far off. I don't think we're as bad as our record showed this year or where we're at in the standings. But obviously, in saying that, the standings are the standings, and wins are wins, and losses are losses, and we have a lot of work to do. But I think we have a lot of good pieces in here. We have a lot of talent. I don't think talent's our issue by any means. It's just that collective buy-in as a team, and starts with the older guys, making sure the young guys, buy in, and playing for each other. I think that's something that if we do that, we're going to have some success next season.
You look around the room, and each year there's fewer and fewer guys that have played in the Stanley Cup playoffs in your room. How do you develop a winning culture when you're not winning, and how difficult is that?
Yeah, it's tough for sure. I think, sorry, I'm looking at the mic getting passed around here. No, I mean, I think it's hard, right? Like, I think it starts with the older guys and the guys that have been through it and been there. And it's on us to show guys that come in here, whether it's free agents, young guys, trades, whatever it is, to show them how we do things here in Columbus. And I think we can do a better job of that, of holding each other accountable, coming into work every day and putting the work in, and just having that winning culture here whether we've had success the last couple of years or not. You can still build that winning culture based on how we do things in practice, how we, how we work out in the weight room, how we dress for games, stuff like that. I think all those little things go into a winning culture, and we can definitely do a better job of that. So even if we're not winning, I think you can still build winning habits.